A police constable in Mamelodi East in Pretoria allegedly held his family members hostage in a tragic incident that ended with the deaths of 2 people. Now, the shocking event has left the community deeply shaken and raised questions about how such situations are handled. For discussion and expert insights, we are now joined by Dr. Ernst Strydom, who's a retired SAPS commander, Specialized Uniform Support, who will share his thoughts on this matter. Thank you so much for your time on the program, Mr. Strydom. So let's start with your experience. In in hostage negotiations, what are some of the key lessons as well as police and communities can learn from incidents like this recent Mamelodi case as the investigation continues to unfold at this moment?
Yeah, I think it is correctly worded as a tragic incident. And what we've learned through the years is that talking is the way to resolve these matters. And I think an indication of how long it took the negotiators to get to a certain point is an indication that they definitely tried their best in communicating with this person and convincing him of a better way out of that situation.
So now, given that hostage situations are highly tense and unpredictable, as we've seen unfold last night, just what strategies generally help negotiators to manage both the safety of hostages and the behavior of the perpetrators in similar high-risk scenarios as we've seen unfolding yesterday?
Well, the first step is to try to normalize the situation by using some effective cordoning, and then also put everything in place that we could to get through to the perpetrator. The next would be to also focus, of course, on the safety of the hostages and trying to make sure that they will be safe if there's any action taken. Then a strategy of communication follow, and that is how we do it.
And Mr. Strydom, I'm keen on finding out now, as we've seen last night, we saw police officers on the ground there to try and diffuse the situation. But when it's a police officer that's on the other end of the matter, what happens then, when police are faced with such a situation? Is this situation somewhat unique, or it's an occurrence that happens usually?
It is not necessarily unique, and we follow basically the same principles. There are not another book or another set of guidelines for dealing with police officials. Of course, we take much more caution because some of them are armed while being off duty. But no, it's more or less the same. We deal with the same principles. We deal with the same communication strategy, trying to convince the person to come out peacefully.
And just how do events of this nature impact the wider community, and what role do communication and psychological support play in helping families as well as neighbors cope after such tragic incidents? Because once all the officials pack up and go, once all the fanfare, packs up and goes, the community members are then left reeling from such incidences.
Yes, that is true. So I think the matter can be dealt with effectively if people who are directly affected, say for instance the family or the direct neighbors, I think they should talk to somebody. And those somebodies are somebody they trust. It can be a pastor, it can be somebody they know, a teacher, it can be somebody they know very well. And there's some helplines in society that also can flow, like Lifeline or all of some of those, and they can share their concerns and matters. If it is not directly addressed, they should try to consult primary health care.
And I'm going to delve into somewhat of a cliche question where we find out whether are there some sort of a psychological profile of what you'd have as people who are at a risk of, being perps of these hostage situations. Because we saw the involvement of SAPS hostage negotiators yesterday, the Special Task Force and other police units. Just how do these different teams coordinate their roles, Mr. Strydom? And what are the biggest challenges in managing a standoff that drags on for more than 16 hours as we saw last night?
Yes, I think the best part of it is that there will be a single incident commander, and all the units working on that scene will work in conjunction with the scene commander. And the units usually work in parallel. So the tactical team is in parallel with the negotiators, in tactical with the media liaison, investigating officers, and all the people involved. One of the challenges of an extended situation like this would be the negotiators getting tired, not only them, but all the other people involved. So they have to plan for that and make sure that these people are refreshed and fit to act in a crisis situation. I think the perpetrator also get tired, but that is not the aim of the whole exercise. The aim of the exercise is actually to keep him in a communicable state so that we can actually communicate with him.
And here's the thing, Mr. Strydom, when such tragedies, end in a loss of life, as we saw yesterday, despite extensive police intervention, what lessons can enforcement learn insofar as making sure that we prevent such incidences going forward? Because there's a need, and from where I'm sitting now, and I would say that need is for officers to be able to vent out whenever they're frustrated about something. Let's speak about being proactive in terms of making sure that the men and women in blue, when they go into the service, they're able to have structures that support them for any eventuality that they might come across.
Yes, as I know the police, we do have structures. They do have structures in place to voice their grievances and worries. But I think for a person himself, you should start off by talking to a trusted friend, talking to his commander, talking to people he trusts, and actually like fish out what is troubling him and what is the options to be taken in those cases, which is not necessarily going to a violent state.
All right, I must thank you so much for your insights this hour. That's Dr. Ernst Strydom, who's a SAPS retired commander, Specialized Uniform Support, providing expert analysis on the recent Mamelodi East hostage situation. Thanks very much for your insights on the program.